Have you ever held a sheet of bubble wrap, felt the small, tense pockets under your fingertips, and heard that satisfying pop, and wondered how such a simple thing became such a big part of our world? You might imagine it came straight from a packaging factory, purpose-built to protect delicate objects. But its real story begins far from warehouses and shipping lines, in a place of pure experimentation with an idea that had nothing to do with packaging at all. Welcome to the Curious Playbook, where the everyday hides extraordinary stories. Today we're following the improbable journey of bubble wrap, a material that started as a failed interior design idea, found new life through an unexpected partnership, and went on to transform industries, inspire creativity, and earn a place in popular culture. Our story opens in 1957 in the small city of Hawthorne, New Jersey. It was a decade defined by optimism and change. America was riding a post-war economic boom. Suburbs were spreading. Homes were being filled with modernist furniture, bright colors, and new synthetic materials. Magazines celebrated daring interior design, and the Beat generation was pushing boundaries in art, literature, and lifestyle. Against this backdrop, two engineers, Alfred Fielding and Marc Chavannes, believed they could create something that would stand out in this design-conscious climate. They wanted to make a new kind of textured wallpaper, a wall covering with a three-dimensional surface, something futuristic and playful. Their method was unconventional but clever. They sealed together two clear shower curtains, intentionally trapping small pockets of air between them. The result was a flexible sheet covered with evenly spaced bubbles that caught the light in interesting ways. It was glossy, tactile, and completely unlike any wallpaper on the market. They saw a future where stylish living rooms, art studios, and modern cafes would be lined with this material. They even built a machine to produce it, planning to mount the sheets onto paper backing to make installation easy. But when they presented their creation to the market, the reaction was underwhelming. Homeowners were puzzled by the idea of plastic-covered walls. Interior designers saw it as odd and industrial. What Fielding and Chavannes viewed as creative texture, others dismissed as cheap-looking and impractical. The textured wallpaper was a flop. Still, the inventors didn't give up. They searched for another market. Their next idea was greenhouse insulation. The air trapped in their material could act as a thermal barrier, protecting plants from cold and reducing heating costs. They pitched it to greenhouse owners, and while tests showed some insulation benefit, the material had drawbacks. It wasn't durable enough for prolonged outdoor use, degraded under sunlight, and was more expensive than established options. Once again, no significant orders came. 2 attempts, 2 failures. Many inventors would have abandoned the idea, but Fielding and Chavannes were convinced their material had untapped potential. In 1960, they founded the Sealed Air Corporation, naming their invention AirCap. For several years, it was a product without a purpose, waiting for the right problem to solve. That problem emerged in 1959. IBM was preparing to ship its new 1401 computer, a large, delicate, and expensive mainframe, to customers. In those days, shipping fragile electronics was a messy business. Companies used crumpled newspapers, sawdust, shredded cardboard, or even horsehair as packing material. These options were inconsistent, messy, and sometimes damaging to the very products they were supposed to protect. Frederick W. Bowers, a marketer for sealed air, saw an opportunity. He realized that AirCap's evenly spaced bubbles could provide uniform cushioning, resist moisture, and keep surfaces pristine. He pitched the idea to IBM. Wrap your computers in AirCap, and they'll arrive in perfect condition. IBM agreed to a trial. The computers were wrapped, shipped, and arrived without a scratch. No dust, no moisture damage, no broken components. IBM was impressed and adopted AirCap for shipping its machines. This was the breakthrough sealed air had been waiting for. AirCap was rebranded as Bubble Wrap, and Bubble Wrap quickly became the gold standard for protective packaging. Other electronics companies followed IBM's lead. Glassware, ceramics, precision instruments, all were soon traveling in the safe cushion of bubble wrap. Under CEO T.J. Dermot Dunphy, who took over in 1971, sealed air grew rapidly. Sales rose from $5 million to $3 billion by 2000, and by 2021 reached $5.5 billion. The company expanded into food packaging, industrial films, and even non-poppable swimming pool covers. Bubble wrap remained a registered trademark, even as the name became a generic term in everyday speech. Behind the fun of popping lies a surprisingly sophisticated manufacturing process. The primary material is low-density polyethylene, or LDPE, chosen for its flexibility, strength, and cost-effectiveness. Sometimes polypropylene is added for extra performance. Various additives adjust its properties: plasticizers for softness, UV absorbers for sunlight resistance, heat stabilizers for durability, and anti-static agents to protect electronics. The production process has 3 stages. First, plastic compounding and sheet extrusion. LDPE pellets and additives are melted in an extruder, blended, and pushed through a flat die to form 2 thin sheets. One for the bubble side, one for the flat backing. Second, lamination. The bubble sheet is heated and passed over a roller drilled with thousands of tiny holes. A vacuum pulls the softened plastic into these holes, forming half-sphere cavities. The flat sheet is laid over the top, and heat and pressure seal the layers, trapping air inside. Third, finishing. The laminated sheet is cooled, inspected for quality, and sometimes treated with coatings for extra performance. It's then rolled into large spools or cut into sheets for distribution. Bubble wrap comes in many types. Small bubbles between 1/8 and 3/16 inch are used for delicate items and surface protection. Large bubbles, up to 1/2 inch, cushion heavy items and fill empty spaces in boxes. Anti-static versions protect sensitive electronics. Self-adhesive wrap clings to surfaces without tape. Easy tear wrap can be separated without scissors. BioAir degradable variants aim to reduce environmental impact. In 2015, Sealed Air introduced iBubble Wrap, shipped flat to save space and inflated on site. It reduced storage and transport costs, but linked the air chambers, making it unpoppable, a change that sparked humorous complaints online, even from Elon Musk. Yet bubble wrap faces a challenge: sustainability. LDPE is made from petrochemicals, and its production emits greenhouse gases. In landfills, it can take centuries to break down. While recyclable with grocery bags at specific drop-off points, contamination with tape or labels often makes recycling impractical. Experts recommend reusing it multiple times before disposal. The packaging industry is exploring alternatives: biodegradable films, honeycombed paper like Gammy Wrap Pack, cushioning made from waste wool, embossed recycled craft paper, and plant-based resins. Some companies have switched to paper-based systems for fragile goods, especially where environmental regulations are strict. Beyond packaging, bubble wrap has earned a place in culture. In 1992, psychology professor Kathleen Dillon found that popping it for 1 minute could relieve stress as effectively as a 33-minute massage. Sealed Air even put stress relief boxes in its offices. It has inspired competitions for young inventors, producing ideas like bubble kites, cushioned wheelchairs, and car door protectors. In 2000, it cushioned an 815-pound pumpkin called Gourdzilla in a 35-foot drop. Norwegian medics have used it to prevent hypothermia, retaining up to 69% of body heat. Gardeners protect plants with it, campers line sleeping bags with it, and artists paint on it or use it to make prints. It has appeared in sitcoms, films, and magazine covers, including a 1997 Playboy issue featuring Farrah Fawcett. In 2004, a piece of bubble wrap was added to the Museum of Modern Art's design collection. In 2010, Sealed Air released a gold-colored edition to mark its 50th anniversary. The last Monday in January is Bubble Wrap Appreciation Day, born when a radio station accidentally aired the sound of popping during a segment. In 2015, the Boy Scouts of America set a world record for the most people popping it at once. Somewhere in its early years, Alfred Fielding's young son Howard became the first child to pop bubble wrap for fun, recalling, "The bubbles were bigger then, so they made a loud noise." That joy, tactile, immediate, and universal, is part of why the material has endured. From failed wallpaper to a global packaging staple, bubble wrap's journey is a story of reinvention. It shows that persistence, adaptability, and a moment of the right opportunity can turn an overlooked invention into a worldwide icon. Its future will depend on balancing performance with environmental responsibility, but whether made of plastic, paper, or something yet to be invented, its core, protection combined with simple delight, will likely remain. If this sparked a question in your mind, or there's an everyday object you've always wondered about, let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned. There's always another curious story to unravel.